It fell shut. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. As soon as Ace and Lotus were gone, Junpei and the others leapt for the door in pursuit of Ace. But as Junpei laid his hand on the doorknob, there was a noise behind him. He looked over his shoulder. Whoa. June was kneeling on the floor, breathing heavily. Santa ran to June and wrapped his arm around her before she could collapse all the way. June's fever had returned, again for no apparent reason. Her eyes were watery and her eyelids drooped. Her breath came in dry and shallow gasps. She was breathing hard now, and she could barely summon the strength to talk. Junpei was torn. He couldn't leave June alone in the state she was in. But every moment they waited, Ace was farther away, Lotus's life in his hands. What was Junpei supposed to do? June's eye drifted to Junpei's. She managed to muster a weak smile. Bro. Remember that one scene a long time ago where June and Santa were talking alone while we were at the Lotus? That was sus to me. I feel sus. My sus meter. But we don't have time to be sus. We gotta save Lotus. Junpei looked at June. She nodded once. She couldn't manage much more. But it was all the confirmation Junpei needed. His resolve was set. Santa nodded. Junpei turned before he had a chance to change his mind and started running toward the door. He could hear Seven's heavy footsteps behind him. Junpei and Seven exploded into the hallway, their feet pounding the metal floor as they ran. Dude, is it a Santa June Zero pair? I don't know. My mind's racing. Probably won't discover this arc, I'm assuming, since it's almost over. Run! I don't want Lotus to die. Bam, 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 bam. Where's zooming? Panting. Junpei and Seven had finally arrived at the church, exhausted and out of breath. As their lungs struggled to catch their breath, their eyes frantically scanned the room. He reached up to wipe a palm full of sweat from his brow. Well, we can actually check the red to see if it's occupied. Even as he spoke, Junpei was already on his way to the larger of the number 9 doors. There we go. Nope, that's vacant. The display panel read vacant. He spun around and headed toward the smaller door. This read would tell him if Ace and Lotus had moved to another room. Ooh, they went to the smaller one. Interesting. I guess Ace would have an idea of where to go. Hey, person in the coffin, you want to make some noise? Junpei and Seven stepped away from the door. They retreated to the center of the room and began to talk. Can we make 9 and go through the other big door? I don't know if that's good.
あっちのでかい方の9の扉は確かに残ってる。
2人じゃどうにもならねえしな。
そうだ。第一俺たちの数字根は9じゃないし。
Just then, as they were pondering what to do next, the coffin. There's a noise. A noise like someone hitting a thick wooden panel.
なんだなんの
Junpei looked up, surprised. Seven followed suit, his eyes jumping around the room, looking for the source of the sound. The coffin. It wasn't long before they found the altar. Or more precisely, what was on it.
開けてみよう。
どうやって？
力ずくで。
無理だろ、どう考えても。
I don't think so either.
試してみなきゃわからないだろう。成功の唯一の条件は99の失敗に対して恐れぬ勇気を持つことだ。
どれの言葉だよ。
忘れた。いいからとにかく試してみようぜ。
Junpei and Seven leapt at the coffin. They grabbed hold of what purchase they could find and pulled.
So. ほらな、やっぱりダメだろ。そう簡単に開くんだったら、こんなもんついてるわけがねえんだよ。
Seven pointed at a keypad on the side of the coffin.
ここに番号を入力しないと開かない。そういうことか。
The noise hadn't stopped. In fact, as it continued, it had only gotten louder and more forceful. What were they supposed to do? Junpei wondered. Oh God. What's happening? They stood there for a few moments, staring at the coffin, and then Seven spoke.
なあ、Junpei。お前、一等船室のバスルームの前で妙な数字をつぶやいてたよな。
Think those still work? For the safe code?
あれって、四つ葉が持ってた暗号文を解いたもんだろ。
Oh, maybe we need to look for a new message.
真実は去りとかなんとかっていう。
ああ、そうだが、それが
もしかしたらその数字がこの装置の暗証番号になってるんじゃねえか。
いや、セブン、それはありえないよ。あの数字はクローゼットの中にあった金庫を解錠するためのものだったんだ。
だが、あの金庫もこの棺も用意したのは同じ人物。ゼロだろ。
It's true. It's a possibility
ああ、
that the code is the same.
だったら同じ暗証番号を設定してるかもしれねえじゃねえか。
そんなバカな。
念のため試してみたらどうだ。
Well, hopefully.
無駄だよ。同じなわけない。
Just try it.
なんで言い切れんだよ。やってみなきゃわかんねえだろうが。
True.
成功の唯一の条件は99の失敗に対して恐れぬ勇気を持つことだ。
It's the counter punch.
誰の言葉だ。
お前の言葉だよ。
Nice setup for the joke.
あったよ。
He knelt down in front of the keypad and looked at it. Perhaps because he repeated them so many times before, the number came easily to Junpei's mind. Quickly, he typed them in. Beep. He checked that he'd entered the right numbers, took a deep breath, and pressed the E button. It only took a moment. It worked! Based 7! Okay, well, finally we'll know who's in. There's a click. I mean, it has to be Snape, right? And with a heavy clunk, the lid of the coffin slid off onto the floor. Someone sat up from inside. Whoa! Look at in his weird robe.
ああ、その声は純平君とセブンだね。
他のみんなはここにはいないのかい？
Of course, there's no reason Snake would have known anything about where anyone else would be. Junpei and Seven looked at one another. There's a great deal he needed to know, but they had to tell him something, however, so they began to talk. Snake explained to them how he came to be locked in the coffin. Apparently, he had been hit with some sort of knocked out gas, and Junpei and Seven explained what had happened to the rest of them.
なるほど。だいたい理解したよ。
Look at that.
他には特に大きなことはなかったんだよね。
No, there's one thing they kept from him. There's one thing, however, that neither Seven nor Junpei could bring themselves to say. That Ace had killed Clover. They feared that if Snake knew, he might well go insane. They decided as much by the moment Snake had climbed out of the coffin.
ニルスが閉じ込められた経緯を聞いても、未だに謎が残るな。
The reason he was is to bait Ace into killing that random guy. Bro, it has to be Santa. It's either Santa or Santa June, right? It has to be. Unless it's some weird Clover thing, but nah, I think it's Santa. Junpei put the question to Snake. His answer was less than illuminating. It seemed as though Snake was perhaps not being entirely honest, but that knowledge did Junpei and Seven little good. No matter how many times they asked, he insisted that he knew nothing. It was becoming clear that Snake wouldn't give in, and every second they spent asking him was a second wasted. However, big door, 5 plus 7 is 12. Wait, no, it's 11. No, it's 12. Wait. It do be 12. Plus 2. It's not enough. Wait, yeah. We're off. Junpei 7 and Snake simply stood at a loss for what they should do next. He glanced over at Snake's wrist. Sure enough, he could see the 2 on the bracelet on Snake's wrist. Yeah. Seven began patting his pockets as if he were checking to see if any of them held anything. Oh, he has clovers. He did hint to doing that. Nice, we can go in. He'd finally found the pocket he wanted, and his hand dove into it. Seven pulled out something round and metal. A bracelet. Oh wait, that's 0. What? There's no mistaking the number glowing at them from the face like a cartoon eye. That's weird. What? I thought he had clovers. Snake's question was innocent enough, but if he learned the truth, he'd been able to see, he would have noticed Seven look away.
船長室の中で見つけたらしいんだ。で、かさばるから持っててくれって、そう頼まれてな。
Junpei could tell right away that Seven wasn't telling the truth.
中はまだ見てねえ。現場保存は捜査の鉄則だからな。と言いつつ、実は一つだけ拝借させてもらったものもあったりするんだ。
それはニルスに四つ葉のことを悟らせないためのものだ。
というわけで、ジュベイ、留守番の方。
7 plus 2 plus 0 equals 9. Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's there going. I don't know. I don't know. There still could be a puzzle. Which... Without waiting for a response, he started walking towards the door. Junpei and Snake followed him quietly. Before long, they found themselves in front of the larger of the two doors. Seven and Snake put their palms on red. Once they'd done that, Seven put the number 0 listed on the scanner panel as well. It do work. A third asterisk appeared on the screen. 7 plus 2 plus 0 equals 9. Now they just needed to pull the lever and the door would open. Error. Huh? Huh?
そのバングルに割り振られてる数字はゼロじゃないのかもしれない。そう言ってるんだ。
That's weird.
別の組み合わせで試してみたらどうかな。そうすればそのバングルの本当の数字がわかる。
Is it like clovers? I don't know. Huh. Junpei nodded. They decided to use the following combination. Guess it doesn't really matter. So if it's clovers, numero 4. 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 6 is 17. Oh wait. Plus 7 is 16. Isn't it this then? So 4 plus 7 is 13, 18, 20. Maybe it's not 4. Well, let's just try everything. But this is impossible, right? Because this is just 7. So that never works. Wait, yes it does work. It works if it's 2. But it can't be 2 again. Oh, whatever. Why not? Error. Nope, it's not 2. Oh, it's 6. Ooh, that might be spiced up. What would that mean, though? It is 6! It's June! But is it June plus Santa, or is it just June? Huh? Seven clearly hadn't thought their experimentation would produce anything useful and looked rather confused. Snake was, as usual, calm and smug. The door slid closed. Junpei's forehead furrowed as he thought. Bro, it's actually June. Is Santa part of it? Santa might not be part of it. That's so weird, though. Ooh. I mean, it made sense. June is the one person who could take revenge on 5 people. And she is more suspicious than Junpei and Seven and Clover to me.
どうして6なんだ。バングルの文字盤に0と表示されているのに。
Suddenly, from somewhere far beneath them, they heard the creak and groan of tearing metal. With it came the sound of water pouring into parts of the ship that had until recently been dry.
まずいな。タイムリミットが来ちまったのか。
Uh-oh.
とにかく扉が開くことは分かったんだ。行こう。行くって。ニルス、お前はどうするんだよ。
そうだ。先に進めるのは俺と順平だけだぜ。
安心しろ。いい考えがあるんだよ。最後の手段を使うんだ。最後の
手段
The submarine? Maybe. Well, you know, if we're the only survivors, I'm glad it's you, Seven. You are a true bro. Run! Easy. Safe. Where does this lead? Junpei, Seven, and Snake ran, Phil tilt down a long straight hallway. Huh? How did Snake get in here? I don't know. As they ran, Seven spoke.
それにしても驚いたな。まさかそんな手があったとは。なあニルス、どうして最初からその手を使わなかったんだ。
だから言っただろ。
So it's his trick.
初めからそんなことをしたら真っ先に僕が疑われることになるじゃないか。こいつが犯人だ。こいつこそがゼロに違いない。そう言ってみんなで寄ってたかって僕のことを糾弾し始める。そうなるのは目に見えて分かってた。だから本当にどうにもならなくなった時にだけ、ギリギリの状況に追い詰められた時にだけ外そうと思ってたんだよ。
Snake's plan had been simple but effective. He simply removed his bracelet. How? To Junpei, it had looked as though Snake had simply crushed the bone of his hands until they were small enough to fit through the wristband. Oh, I guess that's one way to do it. Of course, that would have been practically impossible, so how had he done it? Oh, well, I guess it's not one way to do it. Oh, it's his... True. Zero, you fool. You put it on a prosthetic hand. Snake had slid the bracelet off and tossed it into the coffin.
バングルさえなければ怖いものなんて何もないからな。
ま、そうだね。
He walked through the door easily without authenticating. He stepped out the other side unscathed and began running down the hall alongside Seven and Junpei. They kept running for a while longer and eventually came upon a set of stairs leading downward on the right side of the hallway. They stopped and peered down the staircase. Bottom. They nodded quickly to one another and jotted down the stairs. It took only a few minutes to make their way to the bottom deck. There's a single hallway in front of them at the end, which was a single door. Junpei threw it open. Inside was a massive iron gate. A plate was affixed to the top of it. Incinerator. It read Incinerator.
まあ、それは多分焼却炉のことだ。
True.
扉の近くにレバーがついてないかな。ああ、確かについてるわ。
お前、なんでそんなこと知ってんだ。
話してあげてもいい。だけど、 半日は覚悟してくれ。
Junpei grumbled, gave Snake a dirty look, and jogged over to the lever.
それを操作すれば扉は開くはずだ。分かった。
He pulled the lever down. Into the incinerator we go. With the rumble of an ancient motor, the door opened. There was no need to hold back and no time to hesitate. They pushed their way inside. Standing in front of them were Ace and Lotus. Ace still held the revolver in his hand. Oh, so they both lead down the same. Okay, I mean it made sense, but new backdrop for the CG. It was still pressed hard against Lotus's temple. A very small dark bruise had begun to form near the tip. Even several yards away, Junpei could see that Lotus was shaking. She was terrified. But perhaps more interesting was what Junpei saw behind them. 9. Another number 9 door. The door stopped Junpei in his tracks. It simply shouldn't have been there. As his brain finally began to consider why, the whine of a warning clannocks filled the air, drowning out any thoughts.
Emergency alert.
Emergency alert.
Emergency incineration command.
Uh-oh.
Has been confirmed.
We're incinerating.
Automatic incineration will take action in 9 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately.
ああ、いいね。盛り上がってきたじゃないか。なかなかいい演出だと思うぞ、ゼロ。
A terrifying smile twisted Ace's face.
頭の悪そうなお前らのために翻訳してやろう。今のアナウンスはな。
焼却システムの開始を告げるものだ。あと9分でこのドームは火の海になる。
ああ、お前は誰だ？
わからないのか？ニルスだよ。
ニルス？ああ、そうかそうか。生きてたんだったな、お前。そんなへんてこな衣装を着てるもんだから驚かなかったよ。よくぞご無事で。
Ace's voice didn't change. Snake ground his teeth.
ところでお前らどうやってここに来たんだ？ニルス、順平、セブン。この3人では9の扉は開けないはずだが。もしかして、四つ葉のバングルを使ったのか？
なんだ
2 plus 5 plus 7 plus 4. Oh, well, that worked too.
ああ、どうやらその反応からすると違うようだね。
待て。どうして突然四つ葉のバングルなんて話が出てくるんだ。
See, that's why I should have told him. Now we're in a rough situation. Now he's gonna know. Junpei felt his chest
ま
tighten.
さかお前、まだ教えてもらってないのか。
何をだ。
そうか、その様子だとやはり知らないようだな。本来であればもっとたっぷりともったいつけてじらしてやるところなんだが、あいにくと時間がない。四つ葉はな。
やめろ一味や、それ以上言うな。
What? Yeah, listen to us, Ace.
四つ葉は
やめろと言ってるだろ。ニルス、聞いちゃダメだ。
Junpei could feel his voice going hoarse, but Snake didn't listen to him.
どうした？
Ace looked at him. The corner of his mouth curled into the hook of a cruel
四つ
smile.
葉はな、死んでしまったんだよ。
The color left Snake's face. He shook his head weakly.
そんなバカな。嘘だろ。嘘に決まってる。
嘘なもんか。私が殺したんだ。もちろんだ。
なんだと。
もう一度言ってやろうか。
Jesus, my dude's a savage. You know, I kind of like this Ace. The other Ace was fine, but he didn't really have like a personality. Super evil Ace. It's cool.
私が殺したんだ。
Snake's face twisted into a mask of rage, molted red, rising to dot his pale skin. Dude, I feel like this is gonna be a long video. I'll probably split it into 2 if I'm posting 3 videos anyways. He looked to Junpei disturbingly like a demon.
本当ならもっと苦しませずに行かせてやりたかったんだがな。この銃を使って頭を撃ち抜いて。だがそんなことをしたら銃声が響き渡ってしまう。だからナイフを使ったんだよ。9番の男が持っていたあのナイフをな。ちょうど肩甲骨の下あたりだったか。うまい具合に肋骨の隙間をすり抜けてくれてね。ああ、そうそう。から何の抵抗もなくスッとナイフの刃がうずもれていった。あの感触、思い出しただけでもゾクゾクするね。できることならもう一度味わいたいぐらいだ。
Incineration will start in 7 minutes.
Uh-oh. Snake's words were a guttural growl, barely audible.
なんだって？
殺してやる。殺してやる。
Uh-oh.
ああ、殺してやるって言ったのか。どうぞ、やれるもんならやってみたまえ。
よせ、ニルス。
ダメだ、奴の挑発に乗るな。
ほら、どうした？かかってこいよ。
Boy.
すぐに妹のところに行かせてやるぜ。
ダメだ、ニルス。
やめろ。
But Snake could no longer hear them. Snake could no longer hear anything. Oh no. Dead. Snake moved like a bolt of lightning. His scream echoed through the incineration chamber, full of rage and despair. Oop. Y'all saw that coming. Another scream filled the room. It was Lotus. She ran across the room towards Junpei, her eyes wide with terror. Snake's ill-fated attack had loosened Ace's grip on her, and she made a run for it. She reached Seven and Junpei and ducked behind them.
Incineration will start in 5 minutes.
その女を渡せ。
He raised the gun.
そいつがいないと困るんだよ。私とその女と例の9番のバングルで認証を行わないと、この背後にある9の扉から脱出することができないんだ。
1 plus 8 plus... Yes.
だから、早くしてくれ。時間がないんだ。
In the center of the room, Snake's body lay eerily still. He looked like a human larva, prone and vulnerable on the floor.
ああ、なるほど。やむをえんな。ならば君たちにはここで死んでもらうことにしよう。幸いなことに弾はまだ5発も残っている。純平君に1発、社に1発。そこのバカでかい男に3発お見舞いして、私は社の体を引きずりながらこの部屋を後にすることにしよう。
Incineration will start in 4 minutes.
Time's a ticking.
さあ、そろそろ時間だ。君たちと遊べて楽しかったよ。
Random Santa or June. Junpei could see Ace's finger tighten. He could see it begin to squeeze down on the trigger. His body tense, preparing for the catastrophic impact of hot lead against human flesh.
それじゃあな。
Then it happened. Snake! He's toughening it out. Oh god. Snake stood up.
バカな。
For the first time, Ace's composure broke. Dude, that is pretty spooky. With obvious effort, Snake lunged forward one step closer to Ace, then another. He looked for all the world like a zombie. That's why you shoot for the head. His voice was like the mournful wailing of the undead. Little by little, Ace was retreating. Snake didn't stop. He continued his stiff, inexplorable approach, his eyes twin pools of pure fury. What are you doing? Oh shit. Bruh. Snake made him use all the bullets. Ace's revolver leapt 5 times. 5 times. The air in the incinerator was split by the crack of a bullet. Snake's body twitched as 5 clouds of blood and turned flesh leapt into the air across his body. A fine pink mist drifted from his body and disappeared. Junpei didn't have to ponder what that meant before. And then his strength was gone. His legs crumpled and his broken and battered body slid to the floor.
Incineration will start in 3 minutes.
Well, he has no bullets, but he has a knife. We have a fighting chance. But Snake wasn't done. Jesus Christ. You've awakened the devil. Even as the pool of blood beneath him grew, he began to move. He half crawled, half slid towards Ace. Oh god. I'd be scared too, to be honest. One bloody arm wrapped itself around Ace's leg, and the other gripped his thigh with strength that should have been long gone. Thwacked. He kicked that Snake with his free leg, driving his foot into Snake's face, his arm, his shoulder. It made no difference. Snake refused to release him. Once a snake has ensnared its prey, rarely does it release it.
Incineration will start
I'm guessing we can make 9 with our squad. I mean, probably. That's 2! Wait, how do we make 9? Oh, we have 6. 26. That's 8. I don't know.
minutes.
No need to math. Just let the story progress. Then Seven and Lotus began to speak. Junpei could hear tears in their voices and their words restrained. Snake turned towards them. He coughed and blood splattered across the floor. Then he smiled a sad sort of smile.
るさいだめだ
僕は四つ葉を妹を守れなかった。これはせめてもの罪滅ぼしさ。あの世であいつに許してもらう。さあだから早く行け行くんだ。
Incineration will start in 1 minute.
くそダメだもう時間がない行くぞジュンペイよし
You did good, Snake, and you killed someone who might actually just be more dangerous than Zero. Seven ran towards the exit. Lotus followed him. But Junpei couldn't move. There were white lines down Snake's cheeks where his tears had washed the blood away. He was broken, body and soul, and Junpei felt as though half of his own heart had been torn out. His eyes stunk, and he tried desperately to swallow to clear the lump in his throat.
何をやってる。早く行け。
Junpei's chest tightened, pulled by taut and anger, misery, and a cold feeling of emptiness. Pure emotion surged through his heart alongside the torrent of blood. He could feel it building, a tremendous wave growing taller and taller. And then it broke, crashing down with thunderous force onto his shaken, unprepared mind. Junpei's rational mind was gone. He was driven by instinct now, and he launched himself across the floor at Snake and Ace. Or he tried to.
待てよせバカなまねはやめろ
Seven with the save. He felt a hand grab him from behind. It was Seven. Before he had time to react, the larger man had pinned Junpei's arms to his side and was hauling him bodily back toward the door.
嫌だ嫌だ。ニルスを助けるんだ。ニルスをニルスを離せ離せ。
Incineration will start in 10 seconds. 7, 6,
Run!
仕方ねえ悪く思うなよ
5, 4, 3,
せやれや
2, 1, 0.
See ya, Ace. It's even a little window.
Gate 2 and Gate 3 lockdown complete. Engaging incineration.
Junpei felt Seven's fist buried deep in his stomach, and then his legs turned to mush. Seven scooped him up in the same motion and leapt through the door. It slammed shut behind them. Picture perfect. Junpei struggled to shaky feet. He glanced over to see Lotus only a short distance away. Junpei ran to the door.
あいつは
There was a small window cut into it. Inside, he could see Ace and Snake. Sorry, Ace. It's all over.
くそなぜだなんでだどうして私がこんな目に遭わなければならない
You sure?
答えろゼロどうしてどうしてゼロゼロ
Rip. That's a dead Ace. He didn't know how much time had passed. He didn't know how long he stood there in front of the incinerator. He looked to the side. Lotus's face was ashen, and if not for the hand she put against the wall, Junpei didn't think she could have stood. Seven looked old, tired, and used. His eyes stared at the floor, seeing nothing. Junpei said nothing. He simply began to walk towards the open door, the hallway they'd come down earlier.
おい待て順平
順平君どこに行くの
He blinked when their voices broke the silence. He stopped.
待っててくれ紫とサンタを連れてくる
連れてくるって
どうやって
いいからお前らは黙ってそこで待ってればいいんだよ
He began to walk again. Alright, I feel like Santa might actually be dead and he was innocent. I think it's June. I just don't know if Santa was working with her. I don't know. He looked over his shoulder and watched Seven and Lotus grow smaller and smaller. They stared back, not moving. He wasn't sure if they could. He turned around again. He knew where he was going. Before long, Junpei found himself in front of the elevator. Next to the door was a button with a triangle on it. He pushed it, and the door opened. Oh. Junpei was in the large hospital room? Was there an elevator near there? Did not know that.
Santa!
He kept calling and walked to the center of the room. They'd gone. But try as he might, he couldn't find them.
くそどこ行っちまったんだあいつら
Increasingly frustrated and increasingly worried, Junpei left the large hospital room. He had no choice. He would have to look for them. Junpei's heart was heavy. He couldn't shake the feeling, but there was a part of him that it felt it would be wrong to, even if he could. With every step he took, his legs felt more and more like lead. Looking everywhere. They went to the submarine. Where's this one going? To bottom? Or to the E deck? I don't know. Sometime later, Junpei found himself at the chapel. Oh. He stepped inside expecting to find nothing, but there on the red carpet in the center of the room, who? June! No codenames didn't matter any longer. She was Connie. Huh. Junpei tried her name and ran. It was Santa. I don't know. Like lightning, he ran across the room towards her. What happened? He stumbled to a stop. As he looked down at her body, lying so still on the floor, he felt the icy grip of fear upon his heart. She was still, so very still. Slowly, Junpei bent down towards her. Her hand shook, and he felt very cold and very hot at the same time. He forced himself to look. Her back was moving. Slowly it rose and fell. Relief washed over him. Junpei reached down gently, very gently, lifted her up. Her face was pale, and her lips were dry and cracked. Her eyes were blank and cloudy. They stared straight at Junpei but saw nothing. Trembling, Junpei wrapped his arm around her back. She was cold. very cold. Junpei tried to convince himself that it was only his imagination, but she felt as though she were fading away. He could feel his heart pounding frantically in his chest.
一体何があったっていうんだ。どうしてお前こんなことに。
Her voice was very faint.
何言ってるんだ。絶対に知らせるもんか。必ず助けてやる。
ありがとう俊平君。今まで本当に
Oh boy.
ありがとう。私幸せでした。もう一度俊平君に本当に
バカ野郎。一度どころか二度でも三度でも何回だって会ってやるよ。だからしっかりしてくれ。あかる。
俊平君。私俊平君のこと小学校の頃ずっと
Junpei's vision had gone blurry. It took him a moment to realize his eyes were filled with tears. He could feel a piercing point of heat deep in his heart, like a white hot flame. He looked down at Akane. There was a crack of static from above his head, and a voice spoke.
どこに隠れてやがる。
Junpei frantically scanned the ceiling for the source of the voice. Oh my god. Is it Santa?
わけわかんねえこと言ってんじゃん。
Has to be Santa or June, right?
まだだ、まだ終わらせない。俺は金を連れてここから脱出するんだ。どうして？道？
Bro, isn't that like... I know it's not, but it's like kind of close to Santa's story about the... No, it's not. I'm pulling at straws. Oh. Junpei didn't have time to ponder what that meant before. He heard the door slam shut behind him. He spun around. There was no one there. Was it Zero? Oh no. She managed a single nod. Junpei laid her back down gently and leapt for the door. He yanked it open and shot outside. No one. The hall was empty. There was nothing moving anywhere. He didn't want to leave Connie alone any longer than he had to, so Junpei turned around and headed back to the chapel. Disappeared. She wasn't there. Is she in the coffin? She wasn't anywhere. She'd been lying there on the floor just moments before. Bro, it has to be her. She's just bullshitting. There's no way, because it's impossible for someone to randomly... I guess it's not. If the person was like hiding and Junpei just didn't see him and then they freaking yoinked Akane, but it feels like it would be much easier if Akane was the person. or something. But the person was talking to Junpei, so it does kind of just feel like a Santa June pair, right? So someone was actually actively talking to Junpei.
どうして一体どこにあかね
His cry split the heavens themselves. Jesus. He screamed until his voice gave out. Then he screamed some more. But there's nothing. No answer. His voice faded away, and all that remained was cold, unfeeling silence. That was when he noticed it. A strange smell, one he'd smelled before. It's the knockout gasp. 9 seconds later, Junpei's mind winked out. Huh? Well, we didn't learn who Zero was. What a weird ending, dude. I kind of like it though. I was not expecting that. I mean, just logically speaking, it made so much sense for it to be Akane and Santa. Unless you're telling me Clover, or not Clover, Lotus or Seven is part of the Zero squad or whatever, and then just like killed one another, and then, oops, I didn't mean to do that. And then did all that shenanigan stuff. I don't know. We don't even know what happened. We just kind of teleported out. Well, we got gassed, I assumed. That they said that they have lost. They might save Junpei. What an ending. That was a good ending. As a guy who likes cliffhangers, it's a good way to do it. But yeah, this video has been really long, so I'm gonna split it into two 1-hour videos. And then we still get to start the last routes this week, because we still have a Thursday video to that, so exciting stuff. That was a good ending. The end, or is it? Chance of loss is not 0. Is that the ending title? Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Opening? Is this a dead body? We didn't find... Oh, there's still the mummy stuff. Dude, we have found nothing about the mummy. That wasn't the opening, was it? I don't know. Give me... Save here. It's the note. 3 endings. Was it? Oh, didn't somebody say there's like a secret ending? So there's 2, and then there's the true ending right here. I see a space, dude. Right here. Right here. Right here. I don't know. That's pretty cool. But we're gonna have to leave it for next episode. Thanks for watching. Again, it has to be Santa's June. I'm leaning more towards June just because she had the freaking bracelet. The 0 bracelet was really her number, which is weird. But yeah, I'm not fully sure. We'll think about it next time. But thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and yeah, that was obviously that ending was actually pretty great. A lot of this whole session, this whole 2-hour session. So these two past episodes have been great. But yeah, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.